Firefighters across the country say they are concerned about how tariffs will affect the ability to get new equipment ahead of this year's wildfire season. With more, I'm joined this morning by the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and Red Deer Chief of Emergency Services, Ken McMullen. He's joining us this morning from Quebec City. Chief, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me on your program.
So many fire departments across Canada already struggling to update and keep up with equipment, most of which comes from the United States. And now these tariffs, pardon the pun, just adding fuel to the fire. Tell us how the tariffs will make the situation worse.
Well, like you already said, the Great Canadian Fire Census is a data set that we've been using as part of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs for the last 3 years. We asked fire chiefs from 3,200 fire departments across Canada to provide critical information on the state of how things are happening within their own fire departments. Even prior to the tariffs, we already had seen that about 60% of all fire departments across Canada were already deferring the purchase of critical equipment and training. 20% of our fire departments indicated that they were using outdated equipment. Now we add on these conversations around tariffs. We just predict that those numbers are going to continue to increase. And quite frankly, when we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, there's just a significant impact to the Canadian Fire Service.
So what will that mean for the upcoming fire season?
As you said, we are literally staring down the barrel of the wildfire season gun. Not a good place to be in. We have to be best prepared for this. And quite frankly, right now, we need a National Fire Administration. I've been on your program before talking about the value of a National Fire Administration, a position within federal government that allows us to provide this type of very critical information to the policymakers about the impacts that we're going to have. So we have to be better prepared.
Yeah, and I know that you have praised the federal government's decision to open a request for remission on tariffs, and you're saying that there's more that the federal government could do to help out Canada's fire departments.
Yes, we certainly are looking keenly, as many people are, and our colleagues in paramedicine, for example, are also looking to see what the impacts are on the economy and to us in the fire service about what this will be. Again, one of the linkages to this is the value of having a National Fire Administration, which still is missing. We thought we were very, very close, and unfortunately, as all Canadians saw, a little change in the government, and it puts us back a little bit as far as advancing that particular initiative.
So there's a 1-month delay now with the tariffs. Will that help fire departments have more time now to procure equipment needed for the upcoming wildfire season? What will you do with that time?
Yeah, to be quite fair and honest, 1 month isn't a whole lot of time when it comes to the procurement of fire and emergency services equipment. In fact, comes to purchasing something like the large fire trucks, it takes between 1 and 4 years to purchase. So it's nothing that we can turn around and do a whole lot with in 30 days. However, understanding that everything, our personal protective equipment, the hose and the nozzles on our apparatus, 80% to 90% of that comes out of the United States. Within these 30 days, I am sure fire departments are very rapidly trying to make purchases to get within that 30-day reprieve, and it would make a difference.
I really want to get to this last point with you, and that is the relationship between Canada and the U.S. when it comes to firefighting. Both countries have always been there for one another. Most recently, Canadian firefighters were helping out with the fires around Los Angeles. Do you think that the trade war and the Trump presidency in general will affect the two countries' relationship in that regard?
From my seat as the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, I would say no. I do believe that at the end of the day, men and women in uniform, men and women that serve, will continue to serve in spite of the relationship and the tariff wars between the two countries. We have always been there for one another, as you have said, and I have no doubt that we will continue to be there for one another. Let's hope that these issues are pragmatic and they're not political. And that's the phrase that we've used in the Canadian Fire Chiefs, is that we're pragmatic and we're not political. We will be there to serve one another regardless.
Chief, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs President and Red Deer Chief of Emergency Services, Ken McMullen.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.